What's up, welcome to the channel again. Today we're going to be talking about gloves, specifically these gloves. Rynox's new flagship full gauntlet gloves, the Advento Pro. Now if initially you have some confusion between the differentiation between these new Advento Pros and their original flagship Storm Evo series, I wouldn't blame you, I was there as well. But first let's get the basics out of the way. Rynox has an extremely wide selection of gloves available and they're all pretty decent products, to be honest. They've got street riding gloves, urban commuter centric gloves, off-roading gloves and variations of all of these, and now as the years have gone by, they've gone further and develop better and better iterations of each one to the point where all of their gloves are in a pretty decent place now. Up till recently, the top of the line glove was the Storm Evo 3. I myself use a Storm Evo 2 pretty much all the time. It's a lovely glove, I like using it a lot. Now even after the Evo 3s came out, the difference between the 3s and the 2s were not much because again it's a better improved iteration of the same glove. So the difference between the 2 and 3 was that the 3 had ventilation inlets on the fingers, a slightly different design on the cuff, and it had a pinky bridge which connected these two fingers, which protects your most vulnerable finger in case you crash. So is the Advento Pro really just a Storm Evo 4? Or is it a different series in its own right? Well, again, Rynox usually does this thing where they keep their previous gloves in production even when the new one comes out. So when the Storm Evo 3 came out, the Evo 2s were still listed on the site. And now the Advento Pros are out, the Storm Evo 3s are on the site, but the 2s have been discontinued. Now whether this is an intentional thing or whether it's just because stocks last, I don't know, but I'd bet on the latter. Alright, Advento Pro. These are the black ones. There's a couple different colors as well. There's fluorescent green, there's sky blue, and these are primarily black gloves. Whichever color you get, they've got some nice flashy accents on them depending on which color you get. Overall, a very comfortable glove. It's full grain leather with a bunch of features added here and there for better protection, for better abrasion resistance, for better comfort. The format is very similar to the Storm series, which is why initially I had a very tough time figuring out what the deal is. But here the priority on protection seems to be even higher. I'm just going to read out the feature list real quick. I've actually got an iPad for this so I don't leave anything out. So the Advento Pro's design is inspired by track racing brought to the road. They have a fast R slider backed by D3O impact foam. Now these are the differentiating factors that differentiated from the Storm Evo 3 series. Now while the Adventos have Rynox's all new fast R slider backed by D3O impact foam, the Storm Evo 3s have Knox Impact SPS with micro-lock protection for the scaphoid bone. So these are the differentiating factors in the palm slider over here. Now materials and technology and features when incorporated in a product like this by themselves, yes, it sounds better, and D3O is one of the best, if not the best out there in terms of armor and protective inserts. But what's important is what it achieves in the glove. Again, you can put a carbon fiber fly screen on a Duke, and yeah, then part of your Duke is carbon fiber, but what's it really doing? But here D3O is involved, which is a good sign. And this is the first glove to have Rynox's new fast R slider as well. Even the knuckle protector is a CE certified D3O knuckle protector, which is excellent. D3O again. The Storms have an impact on Heratron PU knuckle protector. Now again, these things by themselves don't mean a lot. Now again, these are just technical specifications, but the fact that this is an upgrade over the Storm Evo 3s means that ideally, the way Rynox has structured it, this knuckle protector should be better than what has been used in the previous iteration. And the involvement of D3O does give me a good deal of confidence. There's a carbon fiber wrist slider here as well, which I think is the exact same on the Storms, which is a nice cool touch. I mean, it appeals to the inner kid in you, right? Now, again, there is carbon on the glove. How effective it is, if you have crashed on any of these while wearing these gloves, let me know in the comments. Again, I hope you're okay. But I've been using these for a week and my testing is not so exhaustive so as to include a personal crash, thankfully. Other than that, the format seems pretty similar to the full gauntlets Rynox has made in the past, and that's not a bad thing. So putting the glove on, easy affair. So you have a two-way fastening system which is required for full gauntlets to get a comfortable fit. The pinky slider is a great feature, but it will take getting used to. While you're riding the bike, when one finger moves, the other one moves, which is super evident in the way that this is structured. But if you are not used to it, it will take some getting used to for sure. Mobility, thankfully, is not an issue because of the knuckle flap here, which has a good amount of tolerance to allow your hand to move freely. I'm just gonna add this faster slider in this sort of dull, translucent orange. Looks amazing. I think it looks sick. A large part of this leather is mesh. It's perforated. You you can see the perforations all over the glove. But with the Storm series, ventilation has always been a bit of an issue. But again, I wouldn't really recommend these as daily gloves, especially in our climate. Now, I live in Mumbai currently, and I tried dailying these, but it just gets super sweaty inside. Yes, there are air inserts here. Yes, there are output vents in the form of mesh panels, but it still gets too hot. Now, if you're cruising on the highway for a long time when the airflow is really good, then you won't feel a thing. In fact, I'd highly recommend these for long rides. These can be your sort of top of the shelf glove, which you're using for weekend rides, you're using for fast sprints, highway rides, touring. These can definitely do that. I've actually very much enjoyed using these, but I can't tell a massive delta between the Storm series and now the Advento series, which I think is a little bit of a lineup issue. Now, I love both of these gloves, okay? I actually really like Rynox gloves in general. I had the Urban X a couple years back, which tore in a year, but my usage was super heavy and the stitching came out in a part and the knuckle came off, which I was a little disappointed by. But again, the amount I use those and in the conditions I use those, honestly, no skin off my back. After that, I got the Storm Evo tools, which I'm still happily using, and I've been testing these Advento Pros for a week now. I like a lot of their products. Okay, Rynox is a great brand, but I think there is some lineup confusion that might happen for most people. So if you read the product descriptions of both gloves, the Advento Pro and the Storm Evo 3, the Storm Evo 3 is marketed as an overlanding glove, which is basically, well, touring in a nutshell. And the Advento Pros are marketed as inspired by the racetrack brought to the street or something along those lines. When in features and feel and intent, when you use them, they feel very similar to one another. There is a bit of a price difference. The Storms are for 5750, these are for 6750, so there's a 1000 rupee delta. But I think that's largely because of D3O being involved, better quality armor, better quality padding being used in the gloves, and establishing these as a flagship product more than anything else because of the improved technology, materials and armor that is incorporated in these. But even if you look at all of Rynox's gloves, you look at the street gloves, you look at the off-road gloves. The off-road gloves, it's a little more clear what's going on. But the half gauntlets, the full gauntlets, I think there needs to be some refinement in the overall lineup so as to make it more clear what the intent of each product is. Because many people have approached me saying, "Are you use Rynox gloves and you've said they're good, so I'm thinking of getting one, but I don't know which one is Tornado, 3, Storm, this, Urban, that, Advento." Off the top of my head, I can't even remember which one is which. And then you dive into the product descriptions, and for some people that might do the trick. But for others, it can just make life a little more difficult knowing which one to choose. If you go and try them on, that helps obviously. But a little more curation in their gloves lineup wouldn't hurt, I think. There's also sizing inconsistency. Now, while I understand that all the gloves are different formats and different intents, and there's different kinds of fabric being used in different variations of similar fabric sometimes, it would be a lot easier to buy them if there was a good amount of consistency. For example, the Urban X that I had, size medium was perfect. The Storm Evo 2s that I have, size large for me is perfect. These Advento Pros that I wear, I would say these are half a size large, even despite them being basically almost exactly the same to the Storms. Now, I've traded these gloves with Shubhan, my friend Shubhan, for the time being. So he's using my Storm Evo 2s for a week because I wanted to see how these are like. So he found those just a little bit tight and I am finding these just a little bit loose. So even across the full gauntlet, there's not sizing consistency, which is something that is not great from a customer standpoint, especially somebody who's buying gloves online purely based off the fact that the previous Rynox gloves they had were good. So based on that, they're buying new ones. But yeah, for highway rides, city sprints, even at night when we go often to Palm Beach or Marines or whatever, and just riding in general, these are terrific gloves. Rynox full gauntlets always have been. I don't really see that much of a reason to complain with these. Go ahead with them, to be honest. They're solid gloves. In the city, personally, I won't recommend these. If you live in a cold city, then sure, go for it. You might be able to rock these on a day-to-day basis. But where there's heat or humidity, your hands will just suffer. Get yourself a nice semi-gauntlet glove. Get something with more mesh, something that's more lightweight overall. Because this is a bulky product at the end of the day. And in the city, you are going to need something with more dexterity overall and something that's easier to live with in general. Also, one more thing I've noticed is Rynox's touch compatible fingertips never really work that well. Like, you have to get the angle extremely correct. Like, you have to get a specific angle at which they work. Like, it's usually you just have to be at 90 degrees to the phone screen. Same case with the Storms, I have same case with the Adventos, no changes there. I feel that's a scope for improvement as well. Especially in the city when you might be using navigation a lot, if you've moved to a new place or you're getting somewhere where you haven't been before, being able to operate your phone on the phone holder, if that is a crucial element, then that is something that can definitely be improved too. But yeah, solid product overall. If you have any other questions related to the same, let me know in the comments. More riding gear videos coming soon. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to my channel. And as always, ride hard, ride safe.